You spent $1,200 on a MacBook Air that weighs 2.7 pounds. You got a Dell XPS 13 engineered down to 2.64 pounds. But here's what nobody mentions at checkout. The charger weighs nearly a full pound. It's a dense, hot brick of plastic that you'll drag through every airport, every coffee shop, every hotel room for the next 3 years. Why does this thing exist? Why can't you just plug a wire straight from the wall into your laptop and call it done? Because wall power would obliterate your motherboard in roughly 0.3 seconds. That's not marketing hyperbole. That's what happens when you feed 120 volts of alternating current into circuitry designed for 19 volts of direct current. The black box isn't an accessory, it's a necessity. And what's inside is a high-speed demolition crew that tears apart wall electricity and rebuilds it 50,000 times per second. Let's crack it open. The problem: wall power is trying to kill your laptop. The outlet in your wall delivers alternating current at 120 volts in North America, 230 volts in Europe. AC flips polarity 60 times per second in the US, 50 times in most other countries. It's a sine wave. Up, down, up, down. Your laptop doesn't speak sine wave. It needs direct current, a flat one-way flow at roughly 19 volts for most Windows machines, 20 volts for recent MacBooks, sometimes as low as 5 volts for USB-C devices. Connect those two without mediation, and the voltage differential will fry the voltage regulator module on your logic board. Replacement cost? $400 to $800 depending on the model. The black box exists because the alternative is a $1,100 paperweight. Stage 1. The bridge rectifier. Flips the current first component electricity hits is the bridge rectifier. 4 diodes arranged in a specific topology. Diodes are one-way valves for electrons. The bridge forces all current to flow in a single direction, no matter which way it's oscillating. You end up with pulsed DC. It's still bumpy. Imagine a heartbeat monitor. Not a flat line, but it's unidirectional. This component costs about 15 cents in bulk. It's been in production since the 1950s. Nothing fancy, just physics. Stage 2. The capacitor smooths the bumps. That pulsing DC is still unusable. Enter the capacitor. The cylindrical can you see when you pry open the casing. It stores charge when voltage peaks and releases it when voltage dips. The result is a smoother output, closer to the flat DC your laptop craves. Capacitors are rated in microfarads. A typical laptop charger uses 220 to 470 microfarads. They're also the component most likely to fail after 3 to 5 years of heat exposure, which is why your charger eventually stops working even though the cable looks fine. Stage 3. The switch mode power supply drops the voltage. Here's where it gets interesting. Old-school transformers, the kind in phone chargers from the 1990s, used heavy iron cores to step down voltage. They weighed a pound or more for a 60-watt output. Modern chargers use switch-mode power supplies, or SMPS. The SMPS contains a transistor that chops the incoming DC into high-frequency pulses, typically 50,000 to 100,000 times per second. Why? Because at high frequencies, you can use a tiny ferrite transformer to step down voltage. The smaller the transformer, the lighter the brick. A 65-watt USB-C charger using SMPS weighs about 6.7 ounces. The 1995 equivalent would have been over a pound. This is also why your charger gets hot. Every switching cycle wastes energy as heat. Efficiency hovers around 85% to 90%. The other 10% to 15% is radiated as warmth into your bag. The hidden safety layer, the optocoupler. Final trick, the optocoupler. It's a tiny chip that uses an LED and a photodetector to send signals across a physical gap. No electrical connection between the high voltage input side and the low voltage output side. If the output voltage starts to creep up, the optocoupler signals the SMPS to throttle down. Why the air gap? Liability. If a capacitor fails and high voltage jumps to the output, the optocoupler keeps 120 volts from reaching your USB-C port. Without it, you'd have a product recall and a class action lawsuit. Why it's still a brick? You can't shrink this much further without trade-offs. Gallium nitride GaN chargers, like the Anker Nano 2 or the Apple 140W USB-C brick, are smaller because GaN transistors switch faster and waste less heat. But they cost $40 to $70 retail versus $20 for older silicon-based designs. Manufacturers ship the cheapest charger that meets safety standards. That's the calculus. So when you trip over that chunky cord, remember, it's not lazy design. It's a bridge rectifier, a capacitor bank, a high-frequency switching circuit, and a safety interlock. It's doing thousands of operations per second to convert chaotic wall power into the calm 19-volt stream your laptop requires. And it costs the manufacturer about $4.50 to build at scale. You're paying $29.99 for it because replacement accessory margins run 60% to 70%. That's the real story inside the black box. If you want more teardowns of everyday objects that are more complicated than they look, hit subscribe. We'll keep cracking them open.